What's going on, everybody? I'm Kevin from Cigar Prop, and it's time for another Tech Tip Sunday. Filming a couple videos today, figured I'll knock out a couple of them, especially this one since we haven't had one in a few weeks, all these holidays and everything else. Schedule at work's just been crazy. Everybody's been on vacation. I'm working 5-6 days a week. It's just crazy hours. Lots of things have been happening lately. I want to talk about two things we've talked about before, but all these videos are based on things that come into my shop that I see. We're going to do shocks and brakes today. Shocks, way back in the day, we used to recommend shocks every 8-year, 80,000 miles, whether they were good or not. 8-year, 80,000 miles. The manufacturers of the shocks and the vehicles wanted them replaced. The manufacturers and the MAP Motors Assurance Program eventually went to the bent, broken, or leaking. If they're not bent, broken, or leaking, they're good forever. Or if they're causing significant tire wear, or the suspension is sagging significantly, causing the alignment to be out, then you would replace the shocks. For the longest time, that's the way it was. And then recently, over the last a few years, a lot of technicians have gone back to the 880, and some of us have gone, especially on trucks and heavier duty vehicles, the 5-year mark. It started years ago. We started noticing some tires getting wear indicative of shocks, but shocks weren't bent, broken, or leaking. So there were a few times I'm like, well, we need to replace these shocks. You're towing. There's nothing wrong, but I'm positive there's something wrong with these shocks. So we start taking them off, and you do the compression test. You know, you put them in your hands or put them on the ground, and you compress them. A shock should slowly return back to its right height or extended position, and they weren't. They were staying compressed. They're like, wow, you know, nothing leaking. The gas has definitely gotten out of these, and we're starting to see it more and more. So I always say it's like watching your spouse get fat. It happens so little that you don't notice it. Same thing with the shocks, or you're riding the rideability of your vehicle. It goes out so slowly you don't notice it. And then when you go to put shocks in, you're like, oh man, this feels so much better. I didn't know how bad they were. Shocks make the vehicle ride better, make the tires wear longer. They can improve braking function. Yes, if your shocks are going bad, it's the transfer of the weight can decrease braking performance of your vehicle. So in my honest opinion, don't wait until they're bent, broken, or leaking. 8-year, 80,000 miles on shocks, on passenger cars, light SUVs, heavy SUVs and trucks, 5 years, 50,000 miles. Struts, we're still on the bent, broken, or leaking. If a strut, because it's such a tightly wound spring, we don't see struts causing issues very often at all. So if you have struts, usually struts on the front, shocks on the rear. If the struts are not bent, broken, or leaking, you can let those ride out. Some people still recommend 100, 125,000 miles. You know, it's up to you, but bent, broken, and leaking on struts is what I go with. Brakes. We've had a run of brakes issues lately, of people just letting it go, man. When you start hearing that noise, that little bit of squeak, that little bit of vibration or pulsation when braking, get it in and have your vehicle looked at. Had one yesterday, a newer Toyota 4Runner, newer, you know, within 5 years or so. Went metal to metal, ground up 2 brake rotors. Luckily, not too bad, where I was able to machine them smoothly, again, without taking an excess amount of material off. I like machining brake rotors. It saves the customer money. And I think OE parts, especially brake rotors, are of better quality than aftermarket units. But that could have been bad. Another shop could have, you know, probably would have recommended pads and rotors all the way around, significantly increasing the price of that job, most likely doubling, if not tripling, the price of that job. So when you start hearing that, get into the shop. Another one to come in, it had been squeaking for a while, and then it was grinding for a while, and then they finally brought it in. In that one, the piston had fallen out of the brake caliper, and it needed a caliper, and we always recommend replacing brake components. Same with suspension components, in pairs, calipers in pairs, rotors in pairs, pads in pairs, hoses in pairs. They can be done individually, but when you get a nice new component, like a nice new brake caliper, it's gonna grip a little bit, just a little faster and a little harder than the other one. If money's an issue, we will replace components individually, but we always like to replace them in pairs. Luckily, this person, they didn't have a problem with that. Just replace everything. So we got it replaced. No big deal. Significantly more expensive than if they would have caught it earlier. Luckily on that one, I was able to salvage the rotors as well. Just because a rotor appears to be pretty gouged up doesn't mean that it can't be resurfaced. Some vehicles get a lot of material on the brake pad, and you've got a lot of material to work with and a long way to your discard thickness. So I was able to salvage those. Had another customer call up, wanted to have his vehicle towed in because he tried doing the brakes himself. Stop doing the brakes yourself. I think we've talked about this in the past. 2017, 2018, older, you can attempt those yourself. If you're handy, anything newer than that, you really need to bring it into a shop. There's so many different things that can happen. This one, a Ford Fusion, which we try to avoid Ford Fusions like the plague, or we try to prepare people, hey, there's a pretty good chance after this brake job's done, you're gonna need a $5,000 ABS pump. They're like, what now? Yeah, because that's what happens on these. Guess who called? A Ford Fusion owner, tried doing it himself, and damaged the pump, tried putting a new master cylinder in. I don't know if he didn't bleed it right, but like, hey, if you want to come in, we can attempt to do an ABS bleed procedure. I can't guarantee anything, but being a Fusion, you're most likely going to need an ABS pump. So doing them yourself. We had another one come in, my first one, a Chevy Silverado, the newer one, 2024. There's a unique procedure on that a lot of people, a lot of technicians, and every homeowner is not going to know. A lot of people do know there's electronic brake calipers. Some people do watch those YouTube videos where you can disconnect it or take the motor off. Stop doing that. You're gonna damage one of those electronic motors. You need to hook a scanner up to it. Tell your vehicle, hey, I would like to perform a rear brake service. So it retracts the electronic brake calipers, and then it locks them into place until you're done with the service. But on this Silverado, you also have to disconnect the battery after you do that procedure. Then after that, you got to gauge where the master cylinder fluid level is. If it's between here and here, you don't do anything. If it's between here and here, you got to suck out the fluid, enough of the fluid until the fluid level gets in between the level that you want. And then when you're all done, you reconnect the battery, you re-engage the electronic brakes, you pump the brakes up, make sure you got a good pedal, and then you top off your fluid level accordingly. If you don't do all that and you damage a pump, that's a $10,000 ABS pump. Do you want to do that? No, nobody wants to own one of those. Luckily, I had seen a video on this before, and well, this is probably going back a year ago, and it really got me thinking. So now, no matter what, even if I know exactly what I'm doing and I've done that car before, I now look up the service procedure on every brake job that I start, just to make sure, especially on the newer stuff, not so much the older stuff, but on the newer stuff, it's like, I want to catch that there's something else going on. And a lot of people aren't going to know that. So newer vehicles, man, just don't attempt the brakes. They are getting a lot more fancy. They got brake pad wear sensors. Some of these electronic calipers are now on the fronts, not on the rears. So there's just a whole lot of issues. It's a whole brake. We've talked about this before. It's just one of those things. If you don't do the job properly, you're not just putting your life at risk. You're putting all of the other people's lives at risk on the road. So just take it in, pay the money, have the brakes done by a professional. Shocks, 5 years, 50,000, heavy SUVs and trucks. 8 year, 80,000 on cars. Struts, still same thing, bent, broken, or leaking. That's it. I think that's all we got. We're running out of time because we covered 2 different things today. Happy New Year. First tech tip of 2026. We'll be back doing these regularly again. We'll see you next week.